Are you off, Kiba? The girl with crimson hair in the chair called out to him. Yes, President, I'm going, he replied and disappeared in a flash of a crimson pentagram. Everyone is so fired up with enthusiasm lately, aren't they, Rias? The girl with long black hair on the couch addressed her friend. That's true, Akino. It's no wonder, especially in light of recent events. She tried to suppress a smile. Don't pretend you're unhappy about anything. Ha ha ha, you know everything. She couldn't hold back and laughed. Indeed, the recent events have positively affected all of us. As your mistress, I am quite pleased with my servant's eagerness to work. Right. Well, moving on. The girl shifted her gaze to the young man. Only you remain, Issei. What do you have today? The young man straightened up and, like a private reporting to a commander, blurted out, Today, I have my regular client. His eyes devoured the girl's ample chest. She chuckled, noticing his fervent gaze. She was always amused by this servant's behavior. Is that so? Excellent. Issei, then when you're finished, help Asia with delivering flyers. I can entrust her to you, can't I? Her eyes narrowed slyly. Yes, of course, you can entrust Asia to me. Everything will be done in the best possible way, President. Suddenly, the blonde girl sitting on the couch timidly raised her hand. She looked at the girl with crimson hair with puppy eyes. Yes, Asia? Did you want to say something? She asked, raising an eyebrow. The girl stood up from the couch, and after gathering her courage for a few seconds, as if making a decision, she looked her firmly in the eyes. Ano, President, can I also do some real devil work and not just deliver flyers? She clasped her hands in a plea before her. An astonished silence hung in the room for a moment. Everyone present stared at the girl in surprise. The young man next to her had particularly round eyes. Finally, the girl with crimson hair recovered. You see, Asia, you've only just been reincarnated, so you need to get used to things and gain experience first. But before she could finish, the other girl cried out determinedly. President, please, give me a chance. I promise I won't let you down. She studied her face intently and after a few seconds smiled. Well, what am I to do with all of you? But, Asia, it's still too soon for you. However, noticing the sad expression on her face, she shifted her gaze to the young man. Issei, how about you take her with you? Let her first see how contracts are made and get accustomed. Eh? The young man froze, not expecting such a turn. President, I would love to, but today, my client... Issei-san! The girl instantly clung to the boy's arm, her puppy eyes burning away all his objections. Staring into those tearful eyes, he lost all resolution, and only a foolish smirk spread across his face. Looking down, he finally replied, Well, if you want it so bad. Thank you, Issei-san. I won't let you down. The girl nodded determinedly. Sometime later, two figures were cutting through the night on a bicycle. A light breeze played with the girl's hair, blowing it in the wind, while she, clutching a young man's back, sitting on the luggage rack of the vehicle, gazed at the bright moon. Finally, the girl looked away from the celestial body and addressed the young man. Issei-san, thank you for letting me come with you, she said timidly. Mom? He barely responded, as if trying to emerge from a trance, which was not surprising given how tightly the girl was pressing against his back. He was practically in paradise. Finally, gathering his willpower, he managed to compose himself. Don't mention it, Azia. To be honest, I'm even glad I can accompany you on your first job. Otherwise, he lowered his head and muttered almost inaudibly, otherwise, some insatiable pervert will summon her, my sweet Anya, and order her to do this or that. Did you say something, Issei-san? Huh? Oh, no, nothing. I'm saying I'm even embarrassed as an older brother that I can't hold a candle to my younger sister. Irony was evident in his laughter. No, don't say that, Issei-san. You are wonderful too, because you saved me. I am so grateful to you, to both of you. You're not inferior at all. Really? Do you really think so? He exclaimed happily, turning around. Well, of course. But the girl suddenly lowered her head and whispered, and when I'm next to Issei-san, I feel safe. Huh. Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Did you say something? No, nothing special. She flushed. But thank you, Anya. Well, anyway, that's why I decided to take an example from her. I will definitely become the harem king. Yahoo! The young man's eyes blazed with wild enthusiasm again, and he pedaled with renewed vigor. 10 minutes later, they arrived at the location, and the young man parked his iron horse in a special spot designated for such battle seats. Climbing the stairs to the second floor, Issei turned to Asia. Asia, I want to warn you right away that our client today is somewhat unusual. The main thing is, don't be scared, please. He's actually harmless, like a child. Well, almost. He hesitated on the last phrase, as if recalling something. Yes, of course. The girl nodded confidently and clenched her fists, putting on a serious expression, as she thought. But apparently only she thought so, as Issei inadvertently smiled, looking at her. Is something wrong, Issei-san? The girl noticed his strange reaction. No, nothing. Everything's fine. He replied with the same serious expression, and finally, the two fighters, at the forefront of the front line, proceeded to execute their mission. The young man stood for a while in front of the door and, finally gathering his strength, pressed the doorbell. A couple of seconds later, a mighty thud was heard, which seemed to shake the entire building. Suddenly, Asia noticed that Issei's face was gradually turning pale, and he himself seemed to shrink in size. The sweat on his forehead revealed his extreme tension, and his body resembled a spring ready to snap at any moment. For a moment, the girl found this strange, but these thoughts flew out of her head as soon as the doors swung open, and a something flew out onto the landing. This something was twice the size of Issei-san. Thick bundles of muscles, which seemed to rival steel cables, in strength coiled around its legs, arms, and neck. A broad, powerful chest stretched the fabric of the exquisite outfit, threatening to tear it at any second, and the first question that arose was, how had it not happened yet? As for the outfit itself, yes, it could indeed be called exquisite, as the young girl thought to herself. Her upbringing simply did not allow her to choose another term for description. But not only was it feminine, it barely fit this behemoth. Such Gothic dresses always looked very elegant on Mitelt-sama, but the sight before the girl forcibly expanded the boundaries of that very exquisiteness. The creature suddenly grabbed Issei-san, pulling him into its limbs, which were as thick as lampposts, and finally spoke. No, you're here, Issei-kun. No, Mil-10 was waiting. Are you sure about this, Mil-10? Maybe we should just go to the regular seats. Backstage is, well, it's a very busy place and we shouldn't disturb the artists. Issei pleaded, digging his heels into the asphalt outside the colossal stadium in the underworld's territory. No? What kind of cowardly talk is that, Issei-kun? Mil-10 turned around. The visual impact was devastating. The 2-meter-tall mass of muscle was now squeezed into a bright pink happy coat with Little Tanya Defense Squad embroidered in gold thread across the back. On his head, he wore a headband with glowing cat ears, and around his waist hung a belt loaded with at least 8 different chemical light sticks, looking dangerously like a bandolier of grenades. "This is the Holy Land, Nu, and Asia-chan entrusted us with the keys to the kingdom. To refuse would be to trample on her maidenly kindness," Miltan declared, his voice booming with the authority of a general addressing his troops. "Forward, Issei-kyun, toward the rainbow-colored future." "I just want to go home," Issei whimpered, pulling his cap lower over his eyes. He prayed to every deity he knew, and some he didn't, that his sister wouldn't spot him. If Tanya found out he saw her performing that dance live, his training regimen would likely be doubled. No, tripled, with live ammunition. The backstage entrance was guarded by 2 hulking devils who looked like they ate steel beams for breakfast. They crossed their arms as the strange duo approached. "Halt! No fans allowed beyond this," one guard started, but his voice died in his throat as Milton thrust the pink and white passes forward with a trembling, reverent hand. The guard inspected them, his eyes widening. "These are the Platinum VIP Family and Friends passes, issued directly by Lady Leviathan's office." He snapped to attention, sweating profusely. "My apologies. Please proceed." "New. See, Issei-kyun, the path of justice always opens." Milton grabbed Issei's wrist with a grip that threatened to crush bone and dragged him into the cool, dim corridor. The noise of the crowd outside was muffled here, replaced by the frantic energy of the backstage crew. Staff members ran back and forth carrying costumes, props, and sound equipment. Most of them stopped dead in their tracks to gawk at the giant magical girl fan dragging a high school boy, but Milton marched on with an air of supreme confidence. A heavy silence hung in the hallway for 3 seconds. Then the door slowly creaked open. Standing there, dressed in a frilly military-style dress uniform with copious amounts of lace and the tiny officer's hat perched jauntily on her head, was Tanya. Her expression was darker than the deepest pit of the underworld. Her blue eyes glowed with a predatory light. "Who dares disturb the strategic planning phase?" Tanya began, her voice dripping with menace. Then her gaze traveled up the massive frame of Miltan, paused on the Little Tanya Defense Squad happy coat, and finally landed on the terrified boy trying to hide behind him. Issei saw the recognition flash in her eyes. He saw the corner of her mouth twitch. "Issei?" Tanya asked, her voice dangerously soft. "And a fen?" "New!" Milton exploded into tears of joy, dropping to his knees and shaking the foundation of the building. "Little Tanya-sama, I am your humblest servant. Thank you for your service to the magical world. New!" Tanya looked at the weeping giant, then at her brother. A vein pulsed on her forehead. "Issei," she said, her smile not reaching her eyes, "I didn't know you were bringing reinforcements." "It was Asia," Issei blurted out, raising his hands in surrender. "Asia gave him the tickets. I'm just the escort. Please don't kill me." Suddenly, a second head popped out from behind Tanya. Seraphal Leviathan, the Satan herself, dressed in even more elaborate pink outfit, beamed at them. "Ada, is that Sotan? And he brought a friend," Serafal squealed, clapping her hands. Look, Tanya-chan, your brother came to support you, and he brought a superfan. This is wonderful. We need to invite them in for tea before the show. Tea? Tanya repeated, her grip on the wood frame tightening until the wood splintered. She looked at Miltan, who was currently worshipping the floorboards she stood on, and then back at Issei. Slowly, the terrifying aura receded, replaced by the perfect porcelain mask of the idol little Tanya. She clasped her hands together, tilting her head with practiced cuteness. Of course! Please, come in, Oni-chan. We have so much to talk about regarding your sudden interest in my career. As Miltan floated into the room on a cloud of euphoria, Issei felt a heavy hand land on his shoulder. He looked back to see the two security guards offering him a silent, sympathetic salute. Asia, Issei thought as he was dragged into the lion's den. You really are a devil, aren't you?